Hello, in this Friday Functions video, I'm going to show you how to deal with rich text fields on SharePoint. So whenever you're making your SharePoint list and you actually feel like you have a need to use columns that are using rich text, so bold, underscoring, bullets, and this one is this second one here. You can now do that, okay, using PowerApps. Now, in this particular case, my list is actually using enhanced rich text, but this is okay as long as you don't use PowerApps to add the tables and so forth, right? So I'll show you the difference, but your setting can be either of these two. My recommendation is that you use the rich text setting if you'd like to edit these columns in PowerApps. And I have something brand new to show you there that I think you're going to love. I'm also going to give you some help with how to show rich text in your display form. Okay, so let's go back to our list and let's go ahead and build a Power App. So I'm not going to do anything different. By the way, this is a reading list that shows a lot of reading about inclusivity. We're very big on inclusivity at Microsoft, and so we recommend reading to others on the topic. And so I'm just going to go up here to this menu, and I'm going to do a create an app, and I'm going to call this inclusivity readings. Simple as that. And it's going to build my app for me. So we're just going to give it a minute to do that. As usual, when PowerApps builds apps from data in this way, it's going to create three screens for me. The the gallery, the detail, and the edit form. Where the problem comes in with rich text is, since it's an HTML format, which means it has HTML tags in it, it can show up kind of strange by default. And it's not acceptable for your app that you want to publish. So I'll show you how to fix these things in all three screens. Okay, it's almost done. And you can see on the right here that we have three screens, the first screen being open by default. And I'm going to skip this. And basically, I actually want to do a couple of things here. I'm going to go ahead and adjust the theme of this. Let's make it red today. I'm also going to adjust this. Let's just do a little bit of cleanup, right? Just because I like to clean up things. The images, I love the way it recognized I had an image column. Did you notice? It just knew that. I'm going to just change them to fill the space. So the image position, I'm going to change to fill. This way, all the images, no matter how they're oriented, will fill that space. And then I actually might also give these images a tiny bit of a rounded border and a border thickness, which I will convert to black. So those kind of things are really easy to do. Kind of give my images a little bit different look. I'm not sure I'd love it to death, but it makes me feel a little bit better. Now, what you'll notice here is that these div tags represent the body field, and you can see the HTML tagging in there. And that's what this video is about. How do we handle this? So on this gallery, I don't recommend we try to do a lot of body text. However, what I'm going to do on the next screen will help there. So I just removed it. It also had a description area that was kind of long-winded, and that's being truncated. So all I have to do is turn on auto height in my properties on the right, and that will adjust that. Now, I don't actually want that. No, I could make my template bigger and so forth and so on. I could even use a flexible height gallery, but I think it's too much text for the gallery. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that back off and change what's being shown here. All right, so if I look back here at my list, let's see if we can pick a better field for our gallery. Let's pick, we have some links. We have number of likes. I think I'm going to pick publish month, okay? So publish month happens to be a complex field. So I'm just going to go up here. What I mean by that is it's nested. So I'm going to use a value. And that's because it's a choice list. So since they're choosing, I need to not only choose the column, but also the value from this selection of that column. And now I can see this. Now I can go ahead and turn auto hide on now if I want to. It's just going to make sure that they stay 1, even though it's not needed here. Okay, so I think this is okay. Let's change this one to auto hide because it looks like we've got some formatting issues there too. And now I think all of this works really well. Look at that. That was easy to fix, right? So now if I were to run that app, let's see if I'd be happy. My gallery looks okay. I'm going to click on my chevron. Uh-oh. And here's where, again, we see that div tag situation going on here. And I don't like that, right? It doesn't look good. So I'm going to go ahead and X that out. And in this case, this is a detail form. So I'm not editing this form, right? So I'm going to just do reading details up here. And in this area, I'm going to pay attention here to basically the name of this control is data card value 3. And then I'm going to highlight this card here on the form. And you can see it here, the body data card. And I'm going to make sure that it's not locked. So I'm going to just click unlock. And now I can basically remove this. Now I'm going to just copy the name of it because I want to keep the name. And the only reason is because if there's any formatting that's referring to it, I just want to be able to get to it. So I'm going to just delete that field, re-highlight that card, making sure that I've unlocked it, and then I'm going to insert a text control called HTML text. And this will help us with this problem, okay? Now I'm going to move that down a little bit under body, make my card a little bit taller, it looks like. And of course, I can do some height adjustments through math, you know, here, setting the height based on the height of this field and so forth. I'm not going to do that for the sake of this short video, but I'm going to actually name it data card value 3. A big difference, though, between an HTML control and a label is that a label has a property of text, and a HTML control has a property of HTML text. And you see that here. Okay, I'm going to change this to be, and you want to make sure that you've inserted it in the body of the data card. Otherwise, what I'm going to do now will not work. So you want to make sure it's in the body of the data card. Sometimes you insert it and it becomes outside of the data detail form, and that means you forgot to unlock or you didn't have the card selected. Okay, so with those two things handled, I'm just going to name this item, or I'm going to default this to this item dot body. And then I'm going to set the auto height property to true. So now we have our body in here, and this is going to look a lot better. So I can run this, and you'll see that our detail form is looking much better. I'm going to get rid of our secret field. We have a secret field in here called lookup, remove from app, which I'm just going to remove from this form because only the admins use it on SharePoint. I might actually take the time and remove a couple of things from this card. So let's go ahead and unlock that card. Let's remove this. And I'm going to make this image fill that space. So just going to fill that space with that image and set the fill property, just like I did on the other one, to fill. Now, depending how your pictures are formatted, this could be a good thing or a bad thing. I just like for it to fill the screen in this case, and I missed a little corner there. I think we're pretty good here. And then I'm going to, that's it. I think that works. I think that works. And this link still works if I click on it when I'm browsing. So now this looks much better. Now this text will actually be the size of the text that has been configured in SharePoint. So it's possible you might want to do what I'm going to do on the next form so that you can make the size of the text the same. But let me show you how that works. So I'm going to, well, actually, let's from the run state, let's go ahead and hit edit, which will bring us into edit mode and show us the problems there. So our titles are too long probably, so this field needs to be wider. The content is a description field, and so it needs to be a lot taller. Here's some div tag stuff in here. Now, this will be very confusing to any user trying to edit this body, because unless they know HTML, and even if they do know HTML, this isn't fun to edit. Okay, so we're going to fix that with a brand new control. And we're going to take out the remove from app. And in order to edit the link from image, we need this not to be an image. We need it to be text that they can edit in case they want to edit the link, because all of the images are just hyperlinks to images, right? So they need to be able to edit that field. So we're going to fix all of these things really quickly in under a minute, okay? So let's start with opening up our form. So I'm going to go ahead and into my browser, into my navigator, close everything that I'm not interested in, and open up my edit screen. Okay, now I'm going to click on edit form, and I'm going to go into the properties panel and open up that data panel here, right? Now, there's a lot of fun format conversions built into this. So I'm just going to drop down this ABC and change these to what works better. So this is a multi-line text will work better for these tall fields. Now, FYI, I might configure some help for the user to know that they still don't have an indefinite amount of space for these. I think they're 255 characters. So I might put in some help so that when they get to that close to 255 or whatever, they are notified, hey, you're getting close to the end, so that they don't submit this form and get an error message about the length. So I might do some data validation like that. I'm going to go to the body tag, and we'll go back to that. For link to image, like I said, I want that to be an image. So notice I have a little image icon here. Instead of that, I'm going to click view text. And now you'll actually be able to see the link and edit it. Okay. And then as I did before, I'm going to get rid of remove from app, which is an internal field we use. And then there's the link to the actual article, which is on the internet. Of course, I could unlock these fields and also put some spaces into the display titles because we don't have any spaces on the SharePoint list. Okay, one more thing I'll do here. I'll just do I'm going to actually label, paste that in there, and now we have that there. Now, let's see what the warning is about. If display mode equals form mode edit. So it could be that my display mode is not the right thing to say here. Maybe I should do form mode. If edit form 1 dot display mode, there we go. Now we get rid of that error. Equals edit, there we go. See, we all make mistakes every now and then, and we adjust them. So that's the right formula. If edit form 1 dot display mode equals edit, then the word should be edit, otherwise the word should be new. And that way they can tell, no matter what is going on, what type of form they're on, all right? And then the last thing is, let's talk about this brand new field. I saved the best for last. I'm going to click on the card for body and increase the size considerably. And then I'm going to insert a brand new control. So let's make sure it's unlocked first. And it's really important to make sure you unlock first. Otherwise, the control will go outside of the display form. And you don't want that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put the control, a text control on here. We have a brand new one. Notice right here, it's called Rich Text Editor. It is experimental, so please try this out and then put your ideas in the forum ideas hashtag rich text editor. You know, put a label on this rich text editor so we can find them and learn about what you have to think about this. You will also get examples and learn more links right here on the left. Okay, so I'm going to take rich text editor experimental, and I'm going to move that down here just because I want to make sure it's all working. And then what I'm going to do on this is change some of these properties. So let's take a peek at some of the properties we have. We have default text. In this case, I'm going to set this to parent default so that if we're editing, it will show what is already on SharePoint. And let's see, what did I do? I think that put it in quotes. So let me do it from here. Sometimes if you do it over here, it'll put, well, all the time, it puts it in quotes because it thinks you're typing text. Since I'm typing a formula, I want to get rid of the quotes that it added for me. I usually appreciate that it adds things for me, but in this case, I want it to be a formula. All right, and now we can see this, right? Now, if I click on this up here, we can check out the size of the font. Let's do that. The size of the font in this one is 21. So if I want this to be the same, right, I can highlight this field. And since it's an editable field, I can select everything inside of it just by double clicking. And then I can select, oops, I moved by accident. Let's double click so that we're in there. And then I'm going to select all this and change the size. And actually, when you're selecting the size on this, and I'm going to run this, well, I can use the Alt key to do this, right? Remember, we added Alt so you could do live editing. But I think I'll run it just to make life easier for myself right now. And I'll change this to 21. Well, it doesn't have 21. I could change it to 22. It'll look more like these other ones, but I do notice it's a slight difference. So this is one of those feedbacks I might give on the experimental phase. You can change it to 24. So in this case, you can edit the size directly using the size property. You can also edit colors. So like if I wanted to change this to being bold, I could, right? The holiday. I could also change it to a different color. So I could have it be color closer to what I've been using in the app, right? And so you can go ahead and pick these things. And again, this is in preview, so you may notice a couple things that you want to give us feedback on. Please do. I'll also be giving feedback on these features as well. Now, what's really important, though, is that we added a control to this card. So this card doesn't know about this control for submission, right? So what I want to do is make sure I get the name of the control, and I might want to rename it, right? It's over here. You can see what it looks like in the navigator, little A with an edit sign, right? I'm going to change the name of this to rich text body, right? So that I can easily use this again, right? I don't have to remember any numbers. And I'm going to go into my card here, the same card body, making sure that I have that body selected, body data card 2. And I'm going to change the update property so that SharePoint will be updated by this field instead of data card value 11. So I'm going to put in here rich text body, and I'm going to dot, and this doesn't have text field, it has an HTML text field property, just like the HTML text control does. All right, so now when I submit this form, that's the field that will update SharePoint. At this point, since I've changed my update property, don't forget to change your update property. Now I can get rid of this difficult to work with control. Just press delete. Now, if you get an error message, it's because there was a formula that was related to that control. You know, you can fix it just by replacing it with your new control name, right? Rich text body. And this keeps the error message, and you can see that that's the error message. You can see it over here. It keeps the error message beneath the control, okay? And so now we have no more error. Okay, what we might want to do is move this up a little bit. I'm going to size this first. Okay, my mouse got a little stuck. All right, and there you can see how that looks. And so if I run this, right, now I can make changes in here. So let's go ahead and we can also clear. So I wanted to just talk about all these fields. You have bold, italic underscore, the colors, right? You have the background color. So I can kind of put a highlight on this text, right? You have the size, you have numbering and bullets. You can add a hyperlink, you can remove a hyperlink, and you can clear all text formatting, okay? And that's how easy that is. So let's just add that. And then we're going to save it. And I actually did just update the SharePoint list, and you can see that my rich text formatting has been added. So if we go down to that particular item in SharePoint and click on it, you'll see that all the changes we made are there. So isn't that awesome? Now we can manage HTML text in our apps much easier because we're used to doing that in SharePoint. So we wanted to make sure you had that. You've been asking for that, so there you go. What we ask in return is you give us feedback. Start using it. Let us know how you feel about it. I'll be talking to you soon in the next Friday Functions video. Those of you that will be at the Microsoft Business Application Summit next week in Seattle, please hit me up. Let's try and have coffee or something, okay? Have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon.